Have you ever wondered if the secret to changing your destiny, turning challenges that seem impossible into stepping stones for growth and success, might have been discovered thousands of years ago? Imagine a moment when you're facing life's fiercest storms. Instead of worrying, panicking, or giving up, you're able to stand firm with a calm, steady mind, so unshaken that nothing can disturb your inner peace. At first, it might sound like some kind of supernatural gift from mythology, but in reality, it's a very real ability that people uncovered long ago. That power isn't magic. It's a way of life, a philosophy that has been refined and passed down for over 2,000 years. It's called Stoicism, a school of thought, once echoed in crowded marketplaces, busy forums, and the magnificent marble halls of ancient Greece and Rome. At its heart, Stoicism teaches us one essential truth. We can't fully control the twists and turns of fate, but we can always control how we respond to them. And in today's world, where uncertainty seems to be everywhere, this lesson has become a solid anchor, something millions of people are searching for. If you think Stoicism is just an abstract way of thinking, think again. It's actually a philosophy of action, one that emphasizes how we live more than how we think. It encourages us to move through life with steadiness, with clear goals, with resilience, and with a heart that can find joy even in adversity. Stoicism doesn't tell us to suppress or deny our emotions. On the contrary, it teaches us to understand them deeply, to master them, and to channel them into building a fuller life. That way, whether you're facing stress, setbacks, or simply seeking more peace and happiness in your daily life, you can stay grounded and keep moving forward. So if you're looking for a key to unlock inner freedom, to turn hardship into opportunity, and live a more meaningful life, stick with me. Because what you're about to discover in Stoicism could completely change the way you see the world. Today, we'll take a fascinating journey, exploring the depth of Stoicism, a system of thought that has endured for over 2,000 years and still shines with wisdom today. This isn't just a philosophy to think about, it's a practical guide to how we see, how we act, and ultimately, how we live each day. If you're ready to begin this search for inner freedom and mental strength, stay with me all the way through this video. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share so this positive energy can reach more people. Every moment you stay is one more step towards Stoic wisdom, a wisdom powerful enough to transform your life forever. Now, think about a familiar situation. You're stuck in traffic, frustrated by the delay, or maybe you're scrolling through social media and stumble across a negative comment that ruins your mood. These little annoyances show up every day. They may seem harmless, but they're powerful enough to shake our peace of mind. And honestly, we've all been there. But this is exactly where Stoicism brings a fresh perspective. Born in ancient Greece and Rome, this philosophy isn't just buried in dusty books, it gives us practical tools to overcome life's challenges. It teaches us to focus our energy on what we can control instead of wasting it on what we can't. The famous Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about that. Really think about it. Traffic jams, bad weather, harsh words online, all of these are outside our control. But our reaction, our choice of attitude, our ability to stay calm, that's a power no one can ever take away. What's surprising is that this seemingly ancient idea has been backed by modern science. Psychology, from Freud to Carl Jung, has shown that the way we interpret and respond to events directly affects our mental health and happiness. In other words, Stoicism isn't just a relic of philosophy, it's the foundation for many modern therapies and self-development practices. So if you're looking for a lifestyle that helps you stay grounded and at peace in the chaos of the world, Stoicism is the answer worth exploring. And that journey starts right now. One of the great minds in psychology once said something profound. "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." That statement doesn't just resonate in psychology, it mirrors the very spirit of Stoicism. Because Stoicism, too, reminds us that real human strength doesn't come from controlling circumstances, but from controlling our own reactions, thoughts, and actions. And you, too, always have a choice. Take a deep breath, accept that some things are beyond your control, and turn wasted time into opportunity, listen to a podcast, play an audiobook, or simply enjoy a few favorite songs. Traffic doesn't change. The outside world stays the same. What changes is your attitude, and that small shift can dramatically reduce your stress, making your entire day feel lighter and brighter. This is the essence of Stoicism, focusing all your energy on what you can actually control. And this principle goes far beyond traffic jams or bad weather. It applies to every aspect of life, whether it's setting personal goals, responding to other people's behavior, or facing unexpected challenges that fate throws our way. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, a pillar of this philosophy, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So the next time you feel anger rising over something outside your control, pause and ask yourself, is this really within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. Instead, redirect your attention to how you choose to respond, how you shape your thoughts, and how you act. Because that's where true freedom, strength, and peace of mind are found, the very things so many people spend their whole lives searching for. Even a small shift in perspective can have a huge impact on our stress levels and overall happiness. Of course, training your mind to think this way isn't always easy, but it's worth practicing every single day. What matters isn't instant perfection, but steady progress, becoming a little stronger and wiser than you were yesterday. When we learn to focus on what's truly in our control instead of wasting energy on the uncontrollable, life begins to feel very different. We don't just survive challenges, we grow stronger because of them. This is the very heart of Stoicism, turning obstacles into opportunities. At first, it may sound unnatural, since most of us instinctively see difficulties as walls blocking our path to happiness and success. But Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus completely flipped that perspective. They taught, when life throws you unexpected hardships, don't ask, why me? Instead, ask, what can I learn from this? That simple change in approach can transform how you live. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote in his Meditations, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, every obstacle, no matter how harsh, isn't just a test of endurance, but a chance to grow stronger, to build resilience, and to uncover deeper wisdom. It's the art of finding light in the darkness, of turning hardship into fuel for growth. And this wisdom isn't confined to ancient philosophy. Modern thinkers agree. The psychologist Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." When we deny or fight against challenges in vain, we give them even more power. But when we choose acceptance, when we learn and take meaning from hardship, we move forward stronger and freer. Think of a real-life example. You apply for a job and get rejected. Instead of spiraling into negativity, disappointment, and self-doubt, you can see each rejection as valuable feedback. Maybe it highlights a skill you need to sharpen, more experience to gain, or a new strategy to try. With this mindset, what once felt like failure becomes a staircase, each step bringing you closer to success and a stable career. In the end, Stoicism reminds us that challenges aren't enemies. They are tools that shape us into stronger, wiser, more resilient human beings. Consider another everyday situation. Personal conflict. These moments often leave us drained, frustrated, and stressed. But seen differently, they are opportunities to practice patience, to listen more deeply, to grow in empathy, and to sharpen our communication skills. Each disagreement isn't just a barrier, it's a chance to understand others better and to strengthen our ability to solve problems. The key lies in reframing the questions we ask ourselves. Instead of complaining, "Why is this happening to me?" we can ask, "What can this teach me?" At that moment, we stop being victims of circumstance and become active learners and solution builders. Of course, this doesn't mean challenges suddenly become easy. Pain, disappointment, and negative emotions will still show up. But the difference lies in mindset, choosing to approach difficulties with growth and learning in mind. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it best, It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This is the core of Stoicism, looking beyond the immediate discomfort to uncover the lessons and hidden value in every trial. So the next time life confronts you with a challenge, big or small, pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How will this experience help me grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient? When you shift your perspective in this way, you'll see that obstacles aren't just walls blocking your path, they can actually become the very steps that help you grow. And when we apply Stoic thinking, we learn to walk through life's ups and downs with greater calm, resilience, and wisdom. This idea ties closely to something we often hear: live in the present. But what does that really mean, and why is it so important? Living fully in the present moment means embracing and experiencing everything that's happening right now without letting your mind drift to tomorrow's worries or get stuck in yesterday's regrets. It's realizing that life, with all its beauty, challenges, and surprises, only truly exists here in this very moment. This idea isn't new. It has been a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy for thousands of years. Thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all emphasized it. Even modern psychologists continue to highlight its importance today. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Direct your whole mind to the present." He understood that the strength of living in the present lies in its ability to anchor the mind, keeping it from being swept away by endless distractions. This clarity allows us to free our thoughts and truly enjoy the richness of life as it unfolds, instead of losing it to things we cannot change. Of course, practicing presence isn't easy. The human mind naturally wanders, often worrying about what's ahead or replaying what's already gone. That's why training ourselves with Stoic discipline and learning to stay rooted in the present is a long journey, but it's one worth taking. It brings peace, clarity, and an unshakable inner strength. We're often pulled into a constant stream of chaotic thoughts, mental noise that never stops. That noise distances us from the simple beauty and limitless potential of the present moment. The psychologist Carl Jung once said, "A little thing that makes a big difference is worth more than a great thing that doesn't." His words remind us that true happiness doesn't come from flashy achievements or distant goals, but from embracing the fullness of simple, everyday moments. Living in the present means finding value in small, ordinary things: a loved one's smile, a quiet breath in the middle of a busy day, or the taste of a simple meal. These experiences enrich the spirit in ways material success never could. Even Aristotle, long before the Stoics, spoke about the importance of being grounded in the present. For him, genuine happiness, where a person reaches peace, health, and flourishing, can only be found when we focus on the here and now. By living in the moment, we not only take charge of our experience, but also live a life of true virtue, making full use of our human potential. So how do we practice living in the present? The answer is mindfulness, the art of bringing the mind back to this moment without judgment. When you eat, really notice the taste and texture of each bite instead of rushing. When you walk, pay attention to the feeling of your feet on the ground, the sounds around you, or your own breathing. When you talk to someone, listen with your full attention instead of just preparing your response. These small, intentional acts are what ground us in the present, the only place where life is truly happening. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said something deeply profound: "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future." He knew that when we cling too tightly to what hasn't happened yet or stay stuck in what's already passed, we rob ourselves of the joy that's right in front of us. Now, living in the present doesn't mean denying the future or ignoring the past. It's about balance. We learn from what came before, we prepare for what's ahead, but we don't let either consume us so completely that we lose sight of today. When we keep that balance, we discover peace, wisdom, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. Every moment is an invitation to reset, to refresh, and to bring our focus back to what's happening now. It's in this very space, in each breath, each heartbeat, that we live, love, and create memories that will stay with us. That's why it's so important to treasure the present, to live it intentionally, and to turn every second into a foundation for a richer, more meaningful life. And here's the truth. This very moment, right here and now, is where life is really unfolding. People often hear the word discipline and think of strict routines, rigid schedules, or a joyless life without freedom. But the reality is the opposite. If we're willing to reframe it, self-discipline isn't a chain that restricts us, it's the key that unlocks true freedom. Freedom to choose the right path, freedom to live by our values, and freedom to pursue our long-term dreams. Discipline is rarely easy. It means choosing what's right instead of what's easy in the moment. But at its core, self-discipline is about mastering yourself, saying yes to what helps you grow, and being strong enough to say no to temptations that pull you off course even when it's hard. Think about simple, everyday situations. Choosing to work out instead of staying in bed, saving money for the future instead of spending impulsively, or turning off Netflix to focus on an important project. These choices may not bring instant comfort, but they quietly shape the path to lasting fulfillment, sustainable success, and a life of deeper meaning. Seneca, another great Stoic master, offered equally profound advice. Learn to control your desires instead of letting them control you. For him, true freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want, but from governing yourself, mastering your impulses and appetites. In that state, you are no longer a slave to endless cravings, but the driver of your own life. The ancient Greek philosopher took it even further, pointing out that virtue and excellence aren't divine gifts, but the result of habits we form. And discipline is the very tool that shapes those habits. Through daily practice, small actions and choices aligned with our values, we move closer, step by step, to the best version of ourselves. It isn't about rare heroic moments, but about a steady string of consistent choices that reflect our deeper purpose. This idea isn't limited to classical philosophy. It's reinforced by modern psychology as well. Carl Jung, a pioneer of psychoanalysis, emphasized that to live fully, a person must integrate all parts of their character. Self-discipline is the key that allows us to achieve this balance. It helps us acknowledge the darker side of our nature, regulate impulses, and unlock our positive potential. In the end, self-discipline doesn't make life smaller, it expands it. It gives us real freedom, the freedom to choose who we want to become, to live a life we truly value, and to build something lasting that stands the test of time. Inner growth isn't just about bringing together the different aspects of ourselves. It requires one essential element: self-discipline. The human mind is like a small kingdom, where desires, emotions, and ambitions are constantly in conflict. To maintain balance, we must learn to steer ourselves, choosing actions that nourish our mental health, physical well-being, and long-term growth. So how do you build self-discipline into daily life? The answer is small, consistent beginnings. You don't need to change everything overnight. That's impossible. Choose one area to focus on. Maybe your diet, your exercise routine, your spending habits, or even your time management. Then set clear, achievable goals and stick with them day by day. Every time you make a choice that aligns with your goals, you're quietly strengthening the muscle of discipline. It doesn't happen instantly. As Epictetus reminded us, nothing great is created suddenly. Discipline isn't a leap, but the outcome of countless small, steady steps. Remember, progress matters more than perfection. Each day is a gift, an opportunity to practice a little more, to make one more choice, to get closer to your best self. The road to self-discipline isn't a short-term finish line, but a lifelong journey, one where we learn to balance what we want right now with what we deeply desire in the long run. Sometimes that means choosing discomfort in the moment to gain peace and lasting joy in the future. And no one has to walk this path alone. When we commit together, encouraging one another to choose what's right over what's easy, we discover that each small step brings us closer to our dreams, gradually building a life we truly love. But life is never simple. There will always be curveballs, setbacks, failures, and moments that stir anger, sadness, or disappointment. These emotions are natural. They're part of the human experience. The difference lies in how we handle them. And this is where a vital skill emerges: emotional resilience. You can think of it as a kind of superpower that keeps you from being knocked down by storms. Instead, it allows you to walk through them with calm, maturity, and greater strength. This doesn't mean denying or suppressing emotions. Quite the opposite, it begins with acknowledging how you feel, understanding where the emotion comes from, and then choosing a response that's constructive and forward-looking rather than letting yourself be dragged under. Emotional resilience, combined with self-discipline, allows us not just to endure life's ups and downs, but to transform adversity into opportunity. That's how we do more than survive. We grow, evolve, and live fully. Life will always bring waves of emotions, and sometimes they can feel like storms that sweep us away if we don't know how to steer ourselves. The Stoic sages spoke clearly about this thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius reminded us of a profound truth. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When we truly understand this, we discover a lasting source of inner power, a strength that helps us stay steady, even in turbulent times. The essence of emotional resilience isn't about denying feelings, but about recognizing that while we can't control every event, we can always choose how to respond. Emotions are signals; they don't have to dictate our actions. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, once advised that life's hardships are nothing more than tests of character and endurance. If we face them with calm, practice patience, and reflect on our experiences, we gradually grow wiser, stronger, and more unshakable. So how do we actually train ourselves to build emotional resilience? It all begins with self-awareness. When we take the time to observe our own reactions, whether it's joy, sadness, anger, or anxiety, we start to see our inner world more clearly. There's nothing wrong with feeling angry, disappointed, or even afraid. But instead of reacting impulsively, we can pause and choose a response that's more in line with our core values and long-term well-being. Aristotle once spoke of the golden mean, the middle path between excess and deficiency. This principle applies beautifully to emotional resilience. When we learn to keep our responses balanced, not suppressing emotions, but not letting them overwhelm us, either we reach a place of inner harmony. In modern times, Carl Jung, the pioneer of depth psychology, expanded on the idea that each of us must learn to integrate all aspects of our psyche to become whole. That includes accepting our darker emotions, understanding their roots, and transforming them into lessons. This very process is what leads to true growth and emotional strength. Ultimately, resilience it's about eliminating sensitivity, it's about regulating it, learning to make emotions our companions rather than our enemies. This mindset helps us face challenges with calmness, move through adversity with wisdom, and come out stronger after every hardship. When you're swept up in a wave of powerful emotions, the first step isn't to deny or suppress them. Instead, allow yourself to fully feel them. Acknowledge the emotion without rushing to label it as good or bad. That initial acceptance acts like a safety valve, preventing the pressure from crushing you inside. Then, take a step back and ask yourself, what really triggered this feeling? That reflection often reveals valuable clues about your emotional patterns and the forces both internal and external that influence you. Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This isn't just a philosophy, it's a compass to guide us whenever emotions flare up. Rather than being driven by raw impulse, we always have the power to choose a constructive response, one that brings peace and healing. Cultivating emotional resilience is a lifelong journey, not an overnight result. It requires consistent practice, mindfulness, self-observation, and patience. Over time, you build a personal toolbox for coping. For some, it may be journaling to release thoughts. For others, it could be an honest conversation with a trusted friend. Practices like meditation, deep breathing, or body relaxation exercises also play a vital role in stabilizing emotions. Equally important is self-kindness and compassion. Don't blame yourself for feeling sad, angry, or discouraged. Instead, treat each emotion as a message to be listened to, not an enemy to be eliminated. Emotional resilience doesn't mean you'll never experience negativity again. It means you learn to ride the waves. And when you finally reach the shore, you find yourself stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. By developing this ability, you give yourself the power to face challenges with both courage and serenity. And this isn't just a personal path, it's one we can walk together, supporting and encouraging one another as we grow in emotional maturity. The great Stoic philosophers Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus reflected deeply on this. Their words were never meant to instill fear, but to inspire us to cherish the present moment. They understood that by remembering life's impermanence, we can live with greater peace, meaning, and gratitude. Accepting the truth of life's finiteness doesn't make us pessimistic. It awakens us to live more consciously and intentionally. Gratitude for the present moment becomes the key to experiencing a truly fulfilling life. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, often meditated on the fleeting nature of existence. He didn't write to sadden people, but to remind us to live true to our values and make the most of our limited time. One of his striking reminders was, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." Behind those words isn't a dark warning, but a wake-up call. Don't waste your days on trivialities, focus on what matters and live with integrity. Seneca also wrote profoundly about life's brevity. He urged us not to squander our time on meaningless distractions, but to devote ourselves to building a life of value. For him, facing death as an inevitability teaches us to live more wisely, to treasure relationships, and to cherish even the simplest moments. Epictetus, ever direct, reminded us that true happiness and virtue can only be found when we ground ourselves in the present. Realizing that we are not immortal pushes us to act more responsibly, live more ethically, and savor the beauty of life as it unfolds. The real question is this: how can we practice memento mori without turning it into a dark cloud hanging over our lives? The answer lies in shifting our perspective. Instead of seeing death as something terrifying, we can view it as a powerful reminder that today is the most important day to live, that dreams and happiness shouldn't be postponed for a tomorrow that may never come. Think for a moment about the things you've been putting off for too long. Maybe it's a passion you once held close, a relationship you'd like to heal, or simply the habit of pausing to enjoy the beauty of a sunset. Memento mori calls us to step away from procrastination, to dare to live authentically, to speak words of love while we still can, and to be fully present in our own lives. This concept also carries a profound lesson. Impermanence is what makes life precious. Knowing that time is not infinite awakens a deeper sense of gratitude within us. Every moment becomes a gift, every experience gains significance, and every person who crosses our path deserves to be cherished. Through memento mori, we learn to live mindfully, with gratitude, and to savor this brief journey with a full heart, because it's only by facing the end that we truly learn how to begin living. Rather than seeing memento mori as a shadow meant to frighten us, we can embrace it as a guiding flame, a powerful catalyst for growth, gratitude, and appreciation of every heartbeat. Its message isn't meant to stir anxiety about death, but to inspire us to make choices aligned with our deepest values, to nurture the relationships that matter most, and to delight in the simple beauty of the present. When we recognize that one day we'll leave this world behind, it becomes a motivation to live fully today. Accepting memento mori isn't about fearing the end, it's an inspiring reminder to celebrate the journey of life itself. It urges us to make every moment count, not because death is near, but because our love for life is so immense. And if, at the very end, we can look back with a smile, knowing we lived sincerely, loved, wholeheartedly, and honored the path we walked, then we will have lived without regret. The beauty of this idea is that something so simple can radically change the way we live each day. It teaches us to focus on what we have now instead of endlessly chasing what we lack. This shift is especially vital during life's battles, when gratitude can become a priceless source of inner strength. For centuries, Stoic philosophers have emphasized gratitude as a root of happiness. They reminded us that joy doesn't come from piling up more, but from truly recognizing the value of what we already have. Marcus Aurelius, in his writings, often urged us to begin each day with the thought, simply waking up, breathing, loving, and experiencing is already a priceless gift. That is gratitude in its purest form, seeing the miracle in existence itself. Seneca, with his usual depth, warned that unchecked desire can lead us astray. In the endless chase for what is far away, we lose the ability to enjoy the happiness already within reach. He reminded us that life's greatest treasures are often right here: a loyal friend, a peaceful moment, a soul at rest. To pause and recognize them is to realize we already have enough. Epictetus took an even more practical approach. He taught that regardless of circumstance, whether favorable or challenging, if we can find meaning in it, we can still live a rich life. This isn't about denying hardship, but about accepting, adapting, and drawing wisdom even from adversity. So how do we nurture gratitude even when life doesn't go our way? The key is to practice it as a daily habit. Try beginning your morning or ending your evening by writing down 3 things you're grateful for. They can be as simple as a warm cup of coffee to start the day, a heartfelt conversation with a trusted friend, or the breathtaking colors of a sunset. These small practices carry the power to shift your entire outlook on life. When gratitude becomes second nature, we don't just live happier, we live deeper, more present, and more attuned to the richness of each passing moment. Practicing gratitude works like rewiring the brain, helping us shift attention away from negativity and toward life's positive truths. When we consciously focus on the light, we feel lighter ourselves, and joy becomes easier to find. Gratitude isn't just about saying thank you, it's about learning to meet life's challenges with a spirit of growth. Instead of asking, "Why did this misfortune happen to me?" That shift in perspective allows us to see both joy and sorrow as stepping stones, shaping our inner strength and wisdom. Gratitude also has a powerful social dimension. It strengthens and sustains relationships. Sometimes a simple word of thanks carries more weight than any material gift, because it communicates that someone is truly seen, valued, and loved. When we show appreciation to family, friends, or colleagues, we not only brighten their day, we deepen the invisible bonds between us. The ancients knew this well. Aristotle taught that a virtuous life cannot exist without gratitude. To him, gratitude was the pathway to eudaimonia, true human flourishing, where one recognizes and honors the good that exists both outside and within. The Stoics echoed this belief, reminding us that virtue is humanity's greatest treasure, and gratitude is the foundation that allows us to live up to that noble calling. Even modern science backs up the benefits of this practice. Numerous studies in psychology show that people who regularly cultivate gratitude experience less stress, sleep better, and see the world through a more positive lens than those who neglect it. Carl Jung once said that happiness becomes hollow if it isn't balanced by sadness. When we accept the full spectrum of emotions, both light and shadow, and give thanks for that wholeness, we tap into a deeper, more lasting kind of happiness. That's why, instead of waiting for grand moments, we should practice gratitude in the small things every day. A glowing sunset, a warm meal, or a heartfelt check-in from someone who cares. Celebrate the little wins, cherish every moment of connection. When we focus on what we already have instead of agonizing over what's missing, a natural sense of abundance begins to take root. More importantly, we must remember, happiness isn't what produces gratitude. It's the other way around. Gratitude is the root of happiness. Each day, picture the cup of your life as already half full, then raise it in a silent toast to the wonder of being alive. Whether skies are clear or stormy, hope can always be found in gratitude. This is exactly the spirit that great Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius emphasized. A virtuous life can only be built when we value what is present, rather than chasing endlessly after what lies beyond reach. Throughout the history of philosophy, countless figures have become symbols of the pursuit of inner growth and virtue. One of them once declared, "Don't waste any more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one." Short as it is, this statement carries tremendous weight because it moves us beyond theory. It reminds us that real value lies in action. Personal excellence isn't some distant ideal. It's the daily effort to live by the qualities we admire and want to nurture. Seneca, the renowned Stoic philosopher, stressed the importance of lifelong learning and self-discipline. He believed the path to a meaningful life is one lived in harmony with nature and reason. For him, Strength and excellence didn't come from what we owned, but from our ability to shape our own character and choices. Epictetus echoed this, teaching that each of us is fully responsible for our responses, emotions, and will. Only when we learn to master those can we truly live a life of virtue and stability. But what does it look like in everyday life? Personal excellence doesn't just exist in philosophy books, it begins with the small standards we set for ourselves. That doesn't mean chasing society's expectations or constant comparisons. It means being honest about who we are, where our strengths lie, and what we need to improve. With that clarity, every action, no matter how small, becomes a brick laid on the path of growth. Excellence isn't measured only by success, but by how we rise after failure. Resilience, the capacity to recover, is a vital sign of how we face challenges and learn from them. Aristotle put it this way: excellence is never an accident. It is the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent action. In other words, life isn't shaped by chance, but by the choices we make each day. From a modern perspective, psychology calls this a growth mindset. It's the belief that intelligence and abilities aren't fixed, but can be developed through effort and dedication. With this mindset, we begin to see challenges as opportunities to grow, failures as part of the journey, and hard work as the only real road to mastery. Inner excellence also requires authenticity. Living authentically means staying true to ourselves and our deepest values, even when the path isn't easy. It's about making choices that clearly reflect the kind of person we want to become and having the courage to take responsibility for both our victories and our mistakes. A life of excellence is not just about reaching the destination, it's about appreciating every step, including the stumbles along the way. Gratitude is also inseparable from personal excellence. When we appreciate what we have and view our journey with a positive lens, we nourish a healthy inner energy that supports lasting growth and keeps us moving forward. By combining gratitude, authenticity, a growth mindset, and a steady commitment to our values, each of us can gradually shape a life of true excellence, not by someone else's standards, but by the deepest definition of our own. It begins with a powerful commitment to focus on the journey of self-development. Instead of chasing society's standards, we must set our own ones aligned with our values, beliefs, and personal goals. When we dare to walk our own unique path, we learn to take pride in every step forward, no matter how small. The point isn't to reach flawless perfection that's impossible, but to take genuine pride in who we are, the effort we've put in, and the way we choose to live each day. Excellence isn't found in one dazzling moment. It's a continuous journey. It's built through recognizing our efforts, learning from experience, embracing both success and failure, and steadily training ourselves to become better. Excellence is not a goal to check off, but a way of life, a daily practice, sustained by persistence and honesty with ourselves. In today's world, where social media often overshadows real life, it's all too easy to tie our self-worth to virtual numbers, likes, followers, or comments. Many people fall into the trap of comparison, living through the lens of the online crowd rather than through their own eyes. But the liberating truth is this: your real value doesn't come from outside validation. It's determined by how honestly you live in line with your true nature, how firmly you hold to your personal principles, and whether you have the courage to make the right choices when life gets hard. The ancient Stoic philosophers, whose wisdom has endured for centuries, emphasize this same truth. They taught that inner freedom and peace don't come from public opinion or praise, but from focusing on what is truly within our control: our thoughts, our actions, and our character. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this paradox when he wrote, "It's strange that men love themselves more than all else, yet care more about other people's opinions of them than their own." That paradox is alive and well in today's society. Seneca, another Stoic thinker, reminded us that genuine fulfillment doesn't come from chasing approval or meeting the expectations of the majority. It comes only when we live true to our own values and principles, refusing to be swayed by standards that don't belong to us. Epictetus was even more direct. Worrying about what others think is wasted energy because it lies outside our control. Instead, he urged us to focus entirely on what we can govern, acting with virtue, living with kindness, and preserving our integrity. So how do we free ourselves from dependence on others' opinions and start living authentically? It begins with a shift in perspective. You are the sole author of your life story. Society cannot define your worth unless you hand it that power. When you dare to write your own narrative, to embrace yourself with both strengths and flaws, you step onto the path of true excellence, not chasing perfection, but pursuing growth and inner freedom. Your worth isn't measured by your follower count or the approval of those around you. What truly matters is the self-respect you build from within, the principles you uphold, the compassion you share each day, and the quiet effort you put into becoming better. First, learn to be fully yourself. That starts with practicing honest self-reflection. Pause and ask, am I really living the life I want, or just playing a role to please others? Am I making choices for my own aspirations, or just following society's script? Facing these questions truthfully realigns your path and helps your actions reflect your authentic core. Second, embrace vulnerability. Living authentically means accepting both your strengths and your cracks. Perfection is an illusion. Mistakes, setbacks, and tough lessons are simply part of growing. This kind of honesty and authenticity becomes a magnet, drawing in the right people, those who value you for who you are, not for a polished facade. Third, remember Aristotle's teaching of the golden mean balance. Applied to the opinions of others, it means finding the middle ground, being open to constructive feedback while holding fast to your autonomy and self-respect. It's not about ignoring everyone, but about filtering wisely, taking what helps without letting it define you. Stoic philosophy offers a timeless compass here. Real value doesn't come from praise or outside approval, but from virtue, from honorable actions, and from a commitment to a meaningful life. When you cultivate that solid inner foundation, you build an inner fortress that won't be shaken by fleeting judgments or gossip. Make a promise to yourself. Respect who you are, not for your likes or follower count, but for the authenticity you embody. Have the courage to live true to your values and build a life aligned with what matters most to you. Never forget, your worth is inherent and completely unique. When you live authentically, you shine in your own way, a light that can't be copied and doesn't need anyone's approval. Life isn't just about surviving, it's about rising, growing, and living with the confidence that comes from knowing, I am living a life that is real, guided by my values and my integrity. One of life's greatest lessons is that nothing lasts forever except change. Change isn't just an obvious fact to accept, it's the foundation of growth, of soul-deep evolution, and of lasting happiness. When we resist change, we resist life itself. But when we open up and learn to move with it, change becomes lighter and even turns into a journey of discovery. The ancient Stoics saw this with striking clarity. They didn't view change as a threat, but as part of the music of the universe. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept whatever comes to you, woven into the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs?" With that mindset, we begin to see every twist, whether we call it good or bad, as carrying a role in the larger story of our lives. Seneca highlighted another truth. Clinging too tightly to the present only multiplies our suffering, because everything is destined to change. He urged us to be like water, flexible, adaptive, ready to flow with life's shifts. Only then can we evolve, find peace, and discover joy that lasts. Epictetus, another great teacher of Stoicism, taught that what truly matters is not controlling the external world, but mastering our own response to it. We cannot stop the storm, but we can adjust our sails. We cannot control who comes or leaves our lives, but we can choose how we perceive those moments and what lessons we take from them. This mindset is what keeps us steady in times of upheaval, turning change itself into a springboard for growth. So, how can we actually learn to live in greater harmony with change? First, we must honestly admit that change is unavoidable. Just look around. The seasons turn, people come together and drift apart, and even the very cells in our bodies are constantly renewing. To deny change is to deny life itself. Second, we can practice mindfulness, the art of being fully present in the moment. When we truly inhabit each passing moment, we learn to appreciate experiences without clinging to them or fearing their end. This awareness creates a safe space for letting go, for smiling as one chapter closes, and for welcoming the next with an open heart. In the end, change is not our enemy. It is a teacher, a mirror reflecting our growth. When we accept it with calm and wisdom, we don't just survive the turbulence, we rise through it and become stronger than ever. The next important step in facing change is to seek the lesson behind every shift. Each change, whether small or life-altering, carries a message, an opportunity to learn and evolve. Instead of bitterly asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can reframe the question, "What can I take away from this experience?" That simple shift in perspective can transform adversity into stepping stones toward wisdom and inner strength. Aristotle emphasized that the ultimate goal of human life is happiness, and the path to happiness is a virtuous life. Part of that virtue is adaptability, the ability to walk steadily on a path that is always shifting while maintaining grace and balance. He also reminded us that true wisdom comes from finding harmony, from aligning ourselves with the natural rhythm of the universe. Modern psychology echoes this ancient truth. When we see change not as a threat but as an opportunity for growth, our stress and anxiety decrease significantly. This mindset nurtures resilience, strengthens flexibility, and equips us with the inner power to handle whatever life brings. We must remind ourselves, change is not something to merely endure or get through. It is a vital part of what makes our journey rich and meaningful. To flow with change does not mean surrender or passivity. It means engaging fully with life, staying aware, and choosing to live deeply in every moment of this ever-shifting world. So let us face change with courage, patience, and open hearts. When we do, life's constant movement no longer feels like a threat. It becomes a launch pad for discovering new possibilities. And while each of us walks a unique path, we are all sharing one greater journey, the human journey within this vast universe. This is why cultivating understanding and compassion not only makes us stronger, but also makes the world warmer and more humane. The Stoics left us this priceless legacy. They spoke not only of calmness and self-mastery, but also of kindness and human connection. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we are all part of the same human community. Kindness and empathy are not just lofty ideals, they are the foundation of a truly meaningful life. He also gave us a striking metaphor. What is not good for the porninces, beehive cannot be good for the bee. This simple truth shows us that the happiness and well-being of each person are tied to the whole. When the community flourishes, each individual within it benefits as well. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, often emphasized the value of kindness and generosity. He believed compassion was not weakness, but a natural part of being human. To help others is, in a very real sense, to help ourselves. In his writings, he even encouraged extending understanding to those who have hurt us. People, he said, often act out of fear, limitation, or personal struggle. Understanding this can soften our resentment and open space for forgiveness. Epictetus taught that the key to empathy is the ability to see the world from another person's perspective. Every action springs from a reason, whether it's a belief, an experience, or a circumstance. This doesn't mean excusing wrong behavior, but approaching people with openness and curiosity rather than immediate judgment. When we truly understand others, human connection grows stronger. So how can we cultivate compassion and empathy in daily life? It starts with listening not just to words, but to the stories, the pain, the joy, and the hopes behind them. Real listening means stepping into another person's shoes, imagining their path as if it were our own. This kind of empathy, even when silent, can bridge divides and awaken a deep sense of shared humanity. Compassion can also be cultivated through the simplest acts of kindness. A warm smile, a genuine compliment, or simply being present to listen can brighten someone's entire day. When we offer care, we send a powerful message. You matter. Your feelings are important. You are not alone. Practicing compassion means being ready to help when others are in need, not with judgment, but with patience and understanding. It's about recognizing the dignity of every person, regardless of their background, beliefs, or circumstances. Aristotle wrote extensively about friendship. a relationship he believed could only be nurtured through empathy and deep understanding. True friends, he said, are not just companions in joy, but also partners in sorrow, lifting each other up in difficult times. It is empathy that makes friendships sacred and enduring. Modern psychology reinforces what Stoic philosophy emphasized thousands of years ago. Countless studies show that compassion and empathy not only strengthen relationships, but also boost mental health, reduce stress, and bring a deeper sense of meaning to life. So, when we choose kindness in the way we treat one another, we aren't just making the world easier to live in, we're also planting peace and happiness within our own hearts. When we open ourselves to others with genuine care, our relationships grow stronger and our own mental and emotional health flourishes. Sharing and empathizing helps us feel a sense of belonging, reminds us of the purpose behind our existence, and allows us to taste the deeper joy of life. Every time we pause to remember that behind every face lies a story, and behind every action lies a reason, we take one step closer to true understanding. With every act of kindness, we help create a gentler, more livable world. And in doing so, it's not only those around us who are lifted, we too find fulfillment, a joy unlike any other. Kindness is like delicate petals carried by the wind. One small gesture can send ripples outward, eventually reshaping the ocean of life. Just one act of empathy, one moment of stepping into someone else's shoes, can begin to change the world one heartbeat at a time. This practice is also an invitation to step out of the rush of daily life. A pause with purpose allows us to reflect on our actions, our thoughts, and the path we've been walking. It's a process of growth, self-examination, and realignment with our deepest values. In a world that constantly urges us forward, reflection is like an anchor keeping us steady and true to our course instead of being swept away by the current. The Stoics valued reflection deeply, even thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, left us his Meditations, not just as a personal journal, but as a timeless model of discipline and inner life. Even while ruling an empire, he set aside time to write, to measure his actions, and to examine his moral compass. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts, he reminded us, emphasizing that our outer reality is shaped by our inner dialogue. Seneca encouraged people to regularly evaluate themselves. He compared life to a play in which each of us has a role to perform. That is why, he said, we must pause and ask, am I playing my role well? Am I acting in alignment with the character and ideals I want to embody? For him, reflection was not about self-blame, but about improvement, making our role in the play of life increasingly meaningful. Epictetus taught his students to end each day by reviewing their actions and thoughts. He urged them to ask questions like, what good did I do today? Where did I make mistakes? What tasks remain unfinished? This daily practice of self-examination helped them live more consciously and adjust their behavior, step by step, toward the moral ideal they sought. The question is, how do we bring this Stoic wisdom into modern life? The answer lies in building habits. Just a few minutes of quiet reflection each day, writing down what you're grateful for, what you accomplished, and what you can improve, puts you directly in line with the Stoic spirit. Over time, these small moments add up, becoming a reservoir of inner strength, guiding you toward a life of purpose, depth, and true happiness. Perhaps the best time to practice reflection is right before sleep. Take a few quiet moments to look back on your day. What good did you do? What challenges did you face? And, most importantly, how did you respond? At first, this may just be a mental exercise, but if you begin writing it down, the benefits multiply. Not only will you have a clear record of your growth, but you'll also have a mirror to see your progress day by day. Reflection can also be a bridge to gratitude. When looking back, don't stop at your struggles or mistakes. Notice the small joys too. A smile you shared, a moment of peace, or a kind word someone offered you. These simple blessings balance our natural tendency to dwell on the negative, helping us develop a more positive outlook on life. Above all, approach reflection with kindness toward yourself. Reflection is not a stage for harsh judgment or blame, but a space to uncover lessons hidden in each mistake. Learn to treat yourself with the same compassion, patience, and encouragement that you would offer a true friend. Aristotle once emphasized that a life worth living is a life that is examined and reflected upon regularly. To him, true wisdom does not come from external knowledge but from understanding ourselves, our actions, our choices, and our place within the greater world. This act of reflection, he believed, is the very foundation of a virtuous life, one that seeks balance and the beauty of character. Even modern psychology confirms the value of regular self-reflection. Studies show that the habit of pausing to examine our experiences can improve mental health, reduce stress, clarify our goals, and expand our capacity for growth. When we take time to reflect, we process emotions more effectively, learn from our actions, and make wiser decisions for the future. That's why it's worth committing to making reflection a part of daily life. Let it become the guiding light that helps you walk in alignment with your core values. Don't simply drift through your days passively. Instead, actively shape your life so that each decision reflects both who you truly are and who you aspire to become. By pausing often and looking inward, you'll strengthen your connection with your truest self. Remember, lasting happiness doesn't come from what we acquire from the outside world, but from the growth that happens within. From knowing who we are and who we are striving to become, this practice of self-inquiry is the very path that leads us toward fulfillment, authentic joy, and a life of deep meaning. Stoic philosophy, though born in the ancient world, remains a practical treasure for modern life. Its seemingly simple principles teach us how to stay calm in chaos, make wiser choices under pressure, and, most importantly, find peace within ourselves. It's not the challenges that define us, but the strength we cultivate while facing them and the compassion we extend to others along the way. Each time you pause to reflect, each act of kindness you choose is like a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. Paint it with vibrant colors of purpose, integrity, and courage. Don't settle for merely existing. Live meaningfully, and live in harmony with your true self. Before we close this conversation, I want to leave you with one final reminder. Don't let the inspiration stop here. Out there, countless stories, lessons, and strategies await to help you refine yourself and continue building the truest version of who you are. Keep moving forward, keep reflecting, keep embracing life's highs and lows with an open heart. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Until we meet again, may you live not for recognition, but as an expression of your best and truest self. Take care, and I'll see you on the next step of this remarkable journey.